Welcome to the Wellness Quacks. My name is Dr. Dylan Clark. I work at Peak Family Chiropractic here in Colorado Springs. I love Colorado. Don't like where we're going politically.
That's fact.
But the state is freaking gorgeous. What's great is, like, if you're in Wyoming, you know you're in Colorado because it suddenly gets pretty.
It goes from desolation to...
Yeah, it's like desolation too.
Beautiful. My name is Dr. Austin Clark. I also am a chiropractor here in Colorado Springs. I work at Colorado Injury and Wellness, and today I am actually really excited about the topic because it is a great one.
Yeah, today's topic is colon cancer, and we're going to talk about, in general, colon rectal issues.
Yeah, and kind of cancer, like...
Yeah. Before we start, though, big thank you to 719 Lending.
Shout out to them.
Yeah.
All your lending needs, you come see them. They've got some of the best loan officers and everything here
Good
in the
people.
Springs. Yeah, great people.
Yeah, good people. If you need any loan, I think they do business, too. They do business, personal. If you need a loan, just call them.
Yeah, they'll figure something out for you.
Or they'll direct you in a good path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it, shall we?
Dive right in.
Oh,
hot off the press.
Dang it.
And hot off the table.
There was a lot to, I would say this week there was actually way more diversity in the health news. They still had some dumb ones on vaccines again. It's like they can't get away from it.
Still pushing it.
Yeah, and we talked about that last week, and I've already talked about it again. I really don't want to go over it again. What I will say is this was funny. Brought to you by Pfizer. and I feel like that's still a push. I don't want to talk about that this week. What I'd like to talk about is some of the other things that are pertinent in health news. There were several articles, but this one kind of jumped out to me.
Yeah.
The number one killer of cancer of both men and women is colon cancer. Number one in women is breast cancer.
Yep.
Number one in men is prostate, and number one of both
is colon
rectal cancer.
You start dying from the butthole up.
Yeah. I mentioned this last week in the episode with my father, and that was when I asked the advice he gave to me as a doctor on how to keep people healthy was disease starts from the mouth down to the buttholes. Thank you, Squirrely Dan. And if you can keep that clean and functioning, a person will be much healthier for it.
Yeah.
We also gave you advice last week about
ways to take care of yourself.
Yeah, ways to take care of yourself, especially when you're sick.
Yeah.
We will go over some of those things again. So if you don't want to go back and watch it, you should. Yeah. Like and subscribe, all that jazz. You know?
But most of the suggestions that we had was either, we did talk about water bag enemas.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that again today.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. But the other thing was like what you consume while you're sick.
Yeah.
So
paying attention to certain key things. If you're not pooping every day, that's a problem.
Yes, it is.
Seriously, it's a problem. I've had several patients call me the poop doctor because I ask them about their poop so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not obsessed with it, but if you're not pooping, you are not healthy.
Yeah. And even how you're pooping.
And the type of poop.
Yeah.
You can tell a lot. There's a poster in an office that I love. I need to get it printed for my office.
Same.
It's what does your poo tell you?
What's your poo telling you?
Yeah. I'll try and rip it and put it on here, but there's probably some copyright. So maybe I'll make one on Canva and I'll put it on here.
Yeah. No, and there's tons of different styles of that.
Yeah.
Now.
So if poop makes you uncomfortable, we're going to talk about poop today.
So tune in until the end. Or don't.
Till the end?
Till the exit.
This one comes from Health News. I think CNN also posted this, so it's through CNN. Some of the information in this particular article, obviously I'm probably going to disagree with, but the attention that it brings up, I think, is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So without further ado, colon cancer rates have been rising for decades in younger people, this study finds. So researchers saw a sharp increase among teenagers, but noted that the overall number of cases in that age group are very low. So overall, what's happening The number's still really low, but there's more of them. Still low. Your cancer rates or colorectal issues really start happening late 40s, 50s, and 60s and above.
Yeah.
That's when, if you haven't been taking care of your system over time, it's going to just wear out and wear down. It's the same reason why I think you should get an adjustment and throughout your life. Because if you wait until you have severe degenerative changes, now it's a lot harder for me to do my job. This is the same idea. If you take care of yourself on the front end, then the back end will be way better.
Yeah, it's like the concept of taking care of your car, right? If you wait until the engine blows, guess what? That's a very expensive fix.
Yeah, if the yellow light comes on, you just take care of it. It's better.
And
but when
if you keep changing the oil, if you keep making sure that you maintain everything that's in it, your vehicle, no matter what you get,
make sure your oil's changed.
Yeah.
We have a lot of those today.
But no, like you got to make sure that you take care of the vehicle that you have. And so regular maintenance is going to make sure that you live the best life.
And I'm going to say funny terms just to try and make it more comfortable. But if your poop chute is clean, your ability to absorb nutrients,
Is
water,
way better.
Way better. When it's not, especially when it's compacted, like if you're pooping deer pellets, you are not absorbing nutrients very well.
And if it's straight watery, guess what?
You're not absorbing them.
Getting.
And if it floats, that's not good either. If it's really rancid, like if your poop smells really bad, I'm not talking like poop always smells bad, but I'm talking like, dude, that's got some stank to it.
Smells like something died inside of you.
You're probably not digesting or absorbing fats very well.
That was me Sunday night.
Oh my gosh, dude, we were playing hockey. We were playing hockey, and
Hold on.
He was changing next to me.
Hold on. We're gonna pause this. No.
He was changing next to me in the locker room, and he ripped one, and I was like, "Are you dying?"
And
I thought he had colorectal cancer. That's why we're going over.
That's not
a squirrel went
entirely true.
No, that is a fermented dead animal somewhere.
Well, so addressing it, I know that pork messes with my stomach in a really, really bad way.
Yeah.
And so I had pork it was like 2 days straight. And so the Sunday night came to full fruition where I was like, this is not good. I have not touched it all week long, just so we're clear. I even had a good buddy offer me some ribs on Thursday or Tuesday. And I was like, nah, man, I can't touch these yet. Because my stomach was still like.
It did work well on the ice, though. I'll tell you this. He was like guarding the goalie.
I went right down to the goalie box, and I was like, and I just let one rip, and then I skated out of there, and you could hear the rest of the game. Oh my gosh, it smells awful.
I went out to take the face off, and the goalie was like, "Who did that? That's horrible. I can't move out of here." I was like, "It's a good play."
And that's saying something because hockey players and their hockey gear
is disgusting,
and that outdid it.
Colorectal cancer rates have been rising for decades among people too young for routine screening, new research finds. Routine screening is recommended every 10 years, starting at age 45. The new study focused on rates of the disease in children and adults from ages 10 to 44 using data from the CDC. Cases of colorectal cancer were on the rise in all age groups, is what they found. It means it's a trend. Here comes my first critique. This is funny to me.
It's a trend.
So Dr. Islam Muhammad said it's a real trend. He's an internal medical resident at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, UMKC. I almost went there, actually.
For what?
UMKC. They had a soccer team. I was going to try and get on.
For what?
It's also a good school. Anyway, he
but
said...
you almost went there for soccer.
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about seeing
to
if
get your
I could
undergrad
redshirt.
and all that stuff. Oh,
yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that.
It's a good school.
Yeah. Learn something new every day about my brother.
Yeah. It was a thought, and then I served a mission, and then...
It was not a thought anymore.
Yeah, it wasn't that anymore, yeah. Quote, "We don't know what to make of it yet. It could be lifestyle factors or genetics, but there's a trend." Genetics in the medical community is the boogeyman.
I love it.
They blame genetics on just about everything. And there's two types of genetics that people have to understand, really, that we're looking at. One is true genetics.
Oh, okay.
Like
eugenetics.
Like I've got blue eyes.
Yeah.
I've got this really sexy beard, right?
It's not red.
Those are genetics, like how your body is.
It's also referred to as eugenics.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's epigenetics. And epigenetics turn on certain genetic markers or make your body operate, and that's determined on the environment that you're in. Let me say that again. Those genetic markers are turned on depending on the environment you're in. So if you don't like them, what do you need to change?
Your environment.
Your environment. That's right. We blame genetics and we don't differentiate the two. I'll give you an example. When I was in chiropractic school, I knew 3 people who had glioblastomas. That's a type of brain tumor cancer that's very aggressive. Like if you get it, it's not good. But I knew 3 people in Davenport, Iowa, and my small influence of people. That's freaking weird.
Yeah.
I mean, that's weird that I knew that many people. And since I've been out of school, I'm around way more health concerns. You know, people coming in, patients, whatever. And I haven't seen another one that was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, I've been out of school now for 4 years. And I just finally had a patient recently that I found out that his wife had died from a glioblastoma.
Did she live in Davenport, Iowa?
That's actually, I asked him, and he was from the Midwest, Chicago area.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why I'm not blaming anything. I will say it's farm community, and there's a lot of heavy chemicals.
Heavy chemicals
that are being used. I have another friend of mine. His dad is a agricultural farmer out in Iowa, and he tells me when this is straight from his mouth. He said when he goes and sprays, he wears like a mask. And we're not talking like a COVID mask. I'm talking like a paint,
like a full-on respirator.
And birds, if they get the spray, they'll die.
Yeah, that's healthy.
Yeah, that's what they spray.
Doesn't affect you at all.
Yeah. So we talk about environmental factors. That's epigenetics. That's more of the cause. But when we just say blanketly genetics and people don't know the difference, they really think that it's like, well, I was just born to get rectal cancer.
Yeah, and I struggle with that so much because when you look at the genome, like really what it is it's just a blueprint. And as a blueprint, it's like you can't tell something to turn on or off from a blueprint, really.
Yeah.
And so it's just like you get what you get, which is once again like Dr. Dylan with a brown beard, me with a red beard. Both sexy, both get it from our parents. But guess what? These are things that you can't change.
You make that sound like mom has a beard. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Mole. But the reality is that there's certain other things. Like one of my favorite research and studies that was ever done was there was these 2 twins that were Korean. One got adopted to a Japanese family and one got adopted to a Southern family in the United States. The one that got adopted to the South ended up with diabetes.
Genetics. It's genetics.
Because if you talk to anybody from the South, they're like, oh, no, like my parents had diabetes and I got diabetes and it's something
diabetes runs in my family.
Just runs in my family.
It's like that joke. Yeah.
With Dr. Phil, nobody runs in your family.
The problem is nobody runs in your family. Yeah.
But it just illustrates the point is that as far as a blueprint goes, like that's what your genes are. And the things that you're doing to be able to affect that, that's really what you want to like pay attention to because it's your environmental factors that will cause the majority of these kinds of diseases.
Inflammatory processes are the same, and your body's going to respond and speak to you. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the problems that a person faces is just their body speaking to them to try and recover from whatever that thing is. Let me give an example, right? Yeah. If I cut myself, it hurts, and so you clean it out, you keep it bandaged, you keep it covered, and then it's okay, and it'll heal. Mm-hmm. But you have to address what's going on. If you're cut and you keep putting your finger in it or you keep doing the same thing, it'll just keep having problems. Type 2 diabetes specifically is very similar to that. It's an inflammatory problem. Your cells are inflamed, your system is inflamed, and if you keep taking in the same things that keep causing the inflammatory process, it's like, hey, I'm sucking down another Mountain Dew. It's like, well, I mean, you're just going to keep inflaming the process. That's not a genetic problem.
I'm just going to keep redlining the system with sugar, and I don't know why the system can't handle sugar.
Yeah. So it's like, the whole thing. If you keep redlining the system, that's what's going to happen. That's not a genetic issue.
Yeah.
So we blame genetics a lot. There's an epigenetic component. The genetic disorder problems typically show right off the bat. there are people who are born with certain genetic malformations or certain genetic things that don't process their foods very well. We know some of that now. The MTHFR gene is a huge one. I like testing for that one. That's a B vitamin problem, and you give a person methylated B vitamins, and then they're like, I'm amazing. I know several people who've suffered from depression throughout their life. They thought that they were going crazy, especially the older they got, and then they took the MTHFR gene mutation test, found out that they don't methylate very well, started taking methylated B vitamins, and they're like, oh my gosh, man, I'm not crazy. Like,
I feel good.
Yeah. So there are some components like that. That's more genetic related.
Yeah.
That's typically around in their life, like manifesting a lot younger. But as you get older, you start challenging the system, that's where it starts coming up more. That's what I don't like about this, though, is because we don't know what to make of it yet. It could be lifestyle factors or genetics.
It means that there's a trend.
Yeah, just we see a trend in it. I always let's look at the most plausible answer first. Let's not just go straight to something that's a boogeyman and we don't know and we can't help. Why don't we just rewind a little bit? And we'll get some of those answers as we go through this.
Absolutely. Let's keep going.
The findings, which have not yet been published in a peer-reviewed journal, will be presented later this month at the Digestive Disease Week conference in D.C. I will say that this drives me crazy is that there are a lot of studies that aren't published that they won't recognize because it doesn't go along with the narrative that they're pushing. And that drives me crazy because then when it goes along with the narrative, hey, we got to tell everyone about this.
It's not published yet, but we'll tell you about this
Right.
now. Yeah, absolutely.
That drives me crazy because there's a lot of great information that never got published because the journal has to accept your study or the premise by which you're doing a research article. And if they don't like it or it doesn't jive with what they're trying to say, they won't accept it. Or sometimes they're like, hey, we have all the articles we need. We don't need any more right now, and you're rejected. And then you got to resubmit it, but they already have. So there's a lot that goes on with research that people don't understand.
Yeah.
Where we would have more information if, like, these journals make a lot of money.
Yeah, if they took some of the halters off and just actually allowed it to kind of just run unbridled so that way you can really see everything that's been going on and everything that's out there, it would make a huge difference in us as far as a medical or health care community to be able like, hey, actually we can address all these, but because this journal will only take 500 studies each year, and then on top of that, how many of those studies are already paid for by the company that owns the journal? Like, there's so many other factors that go into it.
There's a lot of factors that go into it, and again, one of them is who's paying for it and what do they want published in their journal. There's a whole bunch of evidence and information that's out there that you don't have access to because it's not peer-reviewed. Now, the peer review process, I think, for the most part is good, although you do get biases and judgments based off of the peer-reviewed board, if you will, that decides what they think is good information and bad information. I can give you an example. Deed Harrison, he's one of people that I look up to in my field.
Yeah.
He's the president of Chiropractic Biophysics nonprofit. He's a huge researcher in the chiropractic field, and he has amazing things. And he has problems getting some of his research published in certain journals because they just don't like him.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't matter what the information is, but he has to face and deal with that. So that's some of the issues with research that you have to understand as a consumer of information and when information like this comes out. I'm glad they're sharing it. I think it's good. It's just important to understand that there's a lot of studies that don't make it that show a lot of other great information.
Right. But this fits the narrative, so we get to talk about it today.
Exactly. That's the point I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Despite the increases, the overall number of cases in people younger than 40 was still low, but people under age 30, cases remained exceedingly rare. So really the ages 40. Are between 30 and above where we see increases. But with such low rates to begin with, any increase can take on a larger significance. The study found that colorectal cancer diagnosis in children from ages 10 to 14 jumped from 0.1 cases per 100,000 in 1999 to 0.6 per 100,000 in 2020. That's a 500% increase. You have to understand it's still a very low number. Doesn't mean it's good.
I mean, a 500% increase sounds astronomically high because, I mean...
Yeah, and if I was trying to show a bias, that's how I would write the article. I wouldn't say the 0.1 to 0.6. I would say there's a 500% increase, and then you're like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Still low. Still not good, but still low.
Right.
Cases among 15 and 19-year-olds jumped by 300%, 0.3 per 100,000 to 1.3 cases per 100,000. And people in ages 20 to 24, it went from 0.7 to 2, and that's 185% increase. When you are starting off with a very rare disease in 15-year-olds and you add a couple cases, you're going to have a huge percentage increase, said Dr. Folasade. May. We're just going to say Dr. May.
Double last name.
Yeah.
All right.
Again, a huge.
I want to point this out because within the article, it gives you links to 3 other articles. The very first link is colon cancer is killing more younger men and women than ever. As colon cancer spreads in younger adults, new research identifies earliest symptoms. And people who got colon cancer in their 20s or 30s describe what it's like.
Yeah. Again, all inflammatory verbiage.
Just to kind of poke at that.
But I do like this article, how it's like, look, it's not that big of a rise, but there is a rise.
Yeah.
The increases were smaller for people over 25, but they also started with higher rates in 1999 than the younger groups. People older than 25 saw a more moderate but still significant rise in cases. The age group that was too young to be routinely screened, those from ages 40 to 44, saw an increase of 45% from about 15 per 100,000 to 21 per 100,000 in 2020. Dr. May said, "We know this disease is age-related." That's so funny.
We know that.
It's also funny. It's like, oh, you're 60, you're getting colon cancer. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Your buttholes isn't working anymore.
That's right. Yeah, it's like, well, it's age-related, so you're going to get it. What they're actually saying is you're more like as you age, systems start breaking down. It's just funny the way it's written that it's like.
Well, you're going to die when you get old.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
For this birthday, you get small intestinal cancer. As you get older, you're more likely to develop polyps, and those polyps are more likely to develop into cancer. So a polyp is exactly what it sounds like. When the intestines get under a lot of stress or they have issues or problems, the skin will start outgrowing into a little bump, and then that bump will get bigger and then bigger, and it almost balloons out. Mm-hmm. And those polyps, because they're not supposed to be there, they encounter more issues, and then that tissue will break down because it's already overgrowing.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that. What is cancer? Cancer is an overproduction of cells. Yeah. That's all it is. And then if your body, because thousands of times throughout the day, your body's actually regulating cancer within your system. Thousands of, if not millions of times.
It's called apoptosis.
Yeah.
Your body will destroy cells that it doesn't like.
It's like, hey, that's not supposed to be there. Shut it down.
You didn't form the way you're supposed to. Shut it down, and it kills cells all the time.
That's exactly right.
Or if the cell is overused, like it's
redlined.
Huh?
Or if it's redlined.
Yeah, or if it's redlined, the body will also shut it down and destroy it. It's a process called apoptosis.
Yeah. So then what will happen is sometimes when those skin cells, especially in your rectum or anywhere else throughout the lining of the stomach, whenever those cells are replicating, sometimes some of those don't get apopped. Yeah. They don't get told to shut it down. And so then you get this growth of cells. And then within those, that's where you get, it's really 2 types. It's sessile and pedunculated. One that like grows out way out like a huge balloon, and one that kind of just goes up and like a bump. So that's what they're looking for in people, and they're like, hey, actually, this is an early determinant of whether or not
the more polyps you get and the bigger they are, the more likely it is to turn into cancer.
Correct. Yeah.
So they're looking for that. May said that although the overall trend is alarming, it's reassuring to see that the oldest group had the smallest percentage of increase. So again, this is where I look at, well, what's changed then? What's changed in the older population to like our population and younger? And what has changed is, in my mind, the first thing that comes to my mind, this isn't rocket algebra.
I mean, don't they actually use algebra?
I think they do, yeah.
Rocket surgery?
Yeah. But the first thing that I think about is our diet and dietary changes. You know, Dad's generation, they had way more home-cooked meals. There's less antibiotics in their food in general. Mm-hmm. Everything about their lifestyle is just different than the way that our lifestyle is today. We're very immediate gratification, and that includes food as well.
Yeah.
And you're eating way more seed oils now, way more.
Like I even found out just the other day that McDonald's, whenever they used to fry their fries, it was actually in taro. Like
that sounds amazing.
And
I
that's
probably would have loved those fries.
well, that's why McDonald's fries were always the best. But then as a company
Tallow.
grew,
You mean tallow.
tallow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I meant.
beef tallow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They actually cook their fries in beef tallow, and then over time they're like actually,
I think it's peanut oil now.
yeah, it's peanut oil.
Yeah.
So, but then they're also now having to change the chemical concoction to make the fries still taste the way that they did back when they were frying them in beef tallow.
Or you could just fry them in beef tallow.
Can we not just keep with
Yeah.
the tallow? I mean, but
That's the first thing that I do.
right, just a small example of the fact that the foods that they even consumed, even at the fast food places, the foods now are even worse than what they were back then when they consumed it.
Can I read the next line?
Please do.
Because it's really funny. Anybody who is 15 to 19 years old getting a colorectal cancer diagnosis is bad.
Dude,
I thought it was good.
you know what? I thought at 15 to 19, breaking up with a girlfriend was bad, but no, colorectal cancer.
And most intestinal cancers is in the rectum.
Yeah.
It's in the actual poop chute. And that's where the fermentation happens. That's where reabsorption of nutrients, but really liquid happens.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dehydrated and you're not getting enough fluids, it makes the job on the rectum even harder.
Mm-hmm.
The rate of, I'll see if I can pull this up for today's thing, but the rate for today's podcast, beverages, sodas, consumption in the United States has gone way higher. And that is not good liquid to consume. It's total junk. And if you're going to keep feeding it junk, it takes a lot of work to be able to filter the water out of that. And so you're putting a heavier load on your rectum to be able to do its job.
Yeah, for it to be able to absorb water.
Look at the trends of the change in food that's going on. So, of course, if you keep feeding it crap, that's what your crap chute has to deal with in order to properly process your foods. So this goes again, diet, man. They give suggestions. There's two big suggestions. Can you guess what they are?
I can't.
Diet and exercise.
They wouldn't say that.
Yeah. Exercise also helps to keep the poop chute clear and healthy. Even a low level of exercise, but some form of exercise because it helps gravity pull the poop down, and it also helps with peristalsis.
For the movement of your stomach.
So the movement, yeah, exactly. The movement kind of moves like a snake, kind of like through.
I think of more like an earthworm.
Yeah, earthworm's probably better.
When you watch those, then they're like, yeah.
Yeah, or like a centipede, like.
Yeah.
That's how your intestinal tract works. So the best two things is what? Diet and exercise. And you can still be lazy on a diet if you just are smart about it. Yeah. You can still eat things that are easily eaten rather than just getting a bunch of highly processed fast food items. All right.
What do you mean you can consume things that are easily eaten?
So you just have to be smart about it. If you're eating fresh fruits and vegetables, you look at Mediterranean diets. Hummus is easily made and it's delicious.
Oh, okay.
Like that's a good, fast, easy, delicious thing that you can have.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what are you getting at? Things that are easily eaten is like a Snickers bar is easily eaten. Popcorn is easily eaten.
Popcorn's not. I don't think popcorn's actually that bad for you. I think microwave popcorn.
Explain to me how I can eat corn, chew it up in my mouth, and it still comes out as a whole kernel.
I don't want to talk about that.
Explain it.
Okay. Changing the face of colorectal cancer. Colorectal cancer rates have been rising in people younger than 50 over the last few decades. At the same time, cases and deaths from the cancer, those once thought to only affect older people, is decreasing in people in their 60s and beyond.
Actually, I want to address that because earlier in the article, it talked about how the screening starts to occur at 45.
Yeah.
It used to be 60, and then it went to 50, and now it's at 45. I think this is just, I'm not trying to prophetize here and be a prophet, but I would bet you.
Prophetize? I don't think I've ever heard of that word.
Create a prophecy?
Well, I understand what you're trying to
put
say.
out the prophet.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I mean. But I would honestly predict that more than likely here in 10 years, they're going to start saying that at 40 or even 35, they're going to start to say that, hey, you should do.
Yeah, maybe they're setting up for that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Just more visits to the doctor.
Yeah. This reflects the changing face of colorectal cancer, said Dr. Christopher Liu. The increasing rates in younger people means that the greater risk for the disease will likely stick with them for the rest of their lives, a phenomenon called the birth cohort effect. That means that the 40-year-old born in 84 has a higher risk of colorectal cancer than someone born in 1950 did when they were 40. Again, it's not because their genes just suck more. It's not like, you're born in 84, man, you're just screwed.
Shafted.
Yeah. 1984 was a bad year. It's like a bad year of wine.
But nothing happened as far as anything that we started administering to people in the late 80s to change their genome.
Yeah. There's
nothing that we did.
There's no other changes.
Yeah.
It's not like when you become a 50-year-old, that risk diminishes. You carry that risk with you, he said. As younger people age, I worry that we will see increases in colorectal cancer cases in the groups that are getting screened. 1990 was a terrible year. You're born in 2000, you are screwed. This is what's crazy to me. Doctors are still searching for answers as to why colorectal cancer cases are on the rise among younger generations. But the reason does not appear to be genetic, May said. Thanks, Dr. May.
Hey, we did not blame
We've
the
been looking at the genome. We've been combing through it. Comb the desert. We've been looking through it, and we can't find a genetic marker that's consistent with these people. All people with brown eyes.
We didn't blame the boogeyman.
Yeah. There are a few cancers where we are now seeing an earlier onset, and they are probably linked.
Probably.
Almost like diminished immune function. We don't know why, but I think that we all agree on is that it's something environmental over something genetic. Thank you.
Hey.
Yeah. Noting that it may be tied to more recently developed food processing methods or exposure to plastics. Huh.
Holy crap.
What? I want to know when legislation. So here's the thing about like our government and some of the politicians, because they talk about things that, oh, we just care about the people so much. I mean, do you really? Because this is actually a bigger problem, and they allow people who have money to control and dictate, especially like our food sources. You corrupt that, and you have really ruined a people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other things that are corruptible too, but that's a major thing. That's a major problem that you have in your people. Over in Europe, like they don't allow a lot of the foods that we allow in the United States.
Yeah.
So why are we allowing it here?
Yeah.
Money.
Who's paid?
That's right. The experts agreed that the increase in colorectal cancer rates among younger generations were alarming, but did not support lowering the screening age for people who have an average risk. In 2018, the American Cancer Society dropped its recommendation for routine screenings from 50 to 45.
So it's just from 2018 to 2020, because the article was written for 2020.
That's right.
So in 2 years, they dropped it from 50 to 45.
Before we talk about lowering the screening from age 45, we need to get those people screened. Less than 60% of people 45 and over have been screened. So you already, so you already see the agenda, right? It's like, hey, man.
We need to get more people screened, although it's only about 50% of them that do it. 60% of the time we find out every time.
Yeah. I mean, that's hilarious. We want to lower the screening age more. Like, how do you say that you want to do something that, my agenda is to get it lowered, but the problem is there's no compliance already.
They're not doing it.
We want to lower it, but we can't because people aren't complying. Lou said the data reinforces the importance of everyone in every age group being aware of the warning signs of colorectal cancer and that doctors understand the importance of screening even their young patients if symptoms arise. Young patients wait longer to go to the doctor. All right. I think I'm done with this one.
Yeah.
Hold on.
We need to read the last 3 paragraphs.
All right, fine.
Sorry, but we have to.
Okay. The most common symptoms patients in the study diagnosed with early onset colorectal cancer reported were changes in, this is actually important, I'm glad you brought this up, are changes in bowel habits, either constipation or diarrhea. Basically, if your pooper's not working.
Yeah, pay attention to that.
Abdominal pain, rectal bleeding, and signs of anemia. Lou said if anyone, especially a young person, has blood in their stool, that is reason to schedule an appointment with the doctor.
I can't imagine somebody like pooping blood and being like, "No, I'm okay."
Like, oh, cool. I think I'm losing more weight. I just lost some more fluids. That's great.
Oh, that's weird. It's normally brown.
Yeah.
But
did I eat a lot of red vines? I don't remember eating red vines. Did I drink a lot of red 40?
This next paragraph cracks me up, especially to what's already been established in the article.
One of the most powerful things a person can do for their health is to understand their family history.
Did we not establish the fact that it's environmental factors?
Yeah.
Like, what?
I don't like this Muhammad guy. Everything he said in this article is like where I'm like, what? It could be genetic.
I would love to see the guy writing this article. He's like, check out. We're going to put Muhammad in and then contradict him. Let's see what Lou said. Oh, that's right. It's not genetic.
Out of the two doctors, I'd probably see Lou.
Yeah.
Knowing their family history can provide them with valuable insights into their own health. Now, that is true in that patterns of behavior.
Correct.
Not their disease processes.
We're going back to the Southern families that are, everybody's getting
now,
diabetes.
I love Southern comfort, okay? Like, I'm not going to, you guys make good food down there. Whenever I'm down there, I'm like, this
makes me happy. I also got to, like, run
There's
and
a
diet.
reason why there's a lot of love down there, because it's like, hey.
There's a lot to love.
Fried Oreos? This is amazing. How did you guys come up with this?
Deep fry it.
Yeah. You know, you can fry that too. Like, this is so great.
Hey, this is a brisket. We already smoked it, but let's fry it as well. Oh, put some more barbecue sauce on it. What's the main ingredient in your barbecue sauce? Sugar and honey.
No. What's your main ingredient? It's ketchup. What's in ketchup? Ketchup. Ketchup is ketchup.
Ketchup is ketchup.
Okay. Knowing their family history can provide them with valuable insights into their own health. Noting that people who have a family history of colorectal cancer should start getting screened 10 years before a sibling or parent was diagnosed. Or just change your habits and keep it the same.
Don't keep eating the deep fried Oreos. Or limit it to
I mean,
once
they're
a
pretty
year.
good. You take a deep fried Oreo and then soak that in milk. I can hear myself getting...
Tommy boy.
Yeah.
I can hear you getting fatter.
Okay, I want to go over this as one of the last things. So, what can you do to make sure that, like, what are the risk factors? And knowing the risk factors are probably the best. So, This is from the Mayo Clinic. Most of the time, I find that the general idea of information is good. Again, when you get into the nitty gritty, I find that this is not very helpful at all. And when I say nitty gritty, it's like more the background behind why they're writing. It's hard to find that information. Mm-hmm. Or the physiological pathways, it's hard to find that information. But as a general overview, it's not bad.
Gotcha.
Okay? Because they talk about polyps. Polyps often don't cause symptoms. That's why they tell you. So this is from the Mayo Clinic. I'm just literally just reading from the Mayo Clinic. Let's go over symptoms. So symptoms of colon cancer or colon issues are change in bowel habits, so diarrhea, constipation, rectal bleeding, we had talked about that, ongoing discomfort like belly cramps or gas or pain, and the feeling that the bowel doesn't empty all the way during a bowel movement. That's important.
Yeah. Where you don't feel like everything's come out to full fruition.
Yeah. So, like, this is specifically speaking to those dads out there who sit on the toilet for 45 minutes and they feel like they didn't actually get anything out or all of it out.
I feel like you're talking personally here.
No, I sit on the toilet for 45 minutes because I get some peace. Yeah, that's totally different, man.
It's true.
That's
it's true.
not. No, it's not. I'm done in like 30 seconds. Like, it's not long. I get in there and it's like evacuation complete, and I'm like, oh, cell phone. Oh, these are great TikToks. You know, like,
Ooh, my brother sent me another good one.
yeah. You know, on the family chat line when I'm using the restroom,
Who's pooping when?
yeah. Like Jeremiah will send you like 20 memes. You're like, he's pooping right now.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one is weakness or tiredness. Again, that's because you get all your energy from your intestinal tract. So if you're not getting your energy, then you're going to be weak and you're going to be tired. Mm-hmm. And then the other one is losing weight without trying. That's always a bad sign. So if you haven't changed any of your habits, and you're losing weight, that's always a bad sign. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So I went to see a doctor. We already talked about that.
I've been trying to lose 20 pounds, and I just did it last week.
Yeah. Risk factors is older age. Again, that's because of poor habits over time. The body eventually breaks down. Black race. So black people have a higher risk of colon cancer than other races. I want to be careful saying this because I don't want to get canceled. But when you look at the generalization of what black people eat compared to white people or Asians or any other group, in the United States anyway, it's typically unhealthy food. I'll give you an example. I had a barber in Kansas City. I loved him. Great guy. Went to go get my haircut, and he says, hey, he says to me, he goes, hey, you don't mind if I drink orange juice while I cut your hair? And I'm like, I don't care. You can eat breakfast. Just
as long
make
as
sure
my hair
hair
color's
looks
great.
good. Like, I don't care. And he brings out a Fanta and cracks a soda. I'm like, and I'm not saying that's typical, but you wouldn't hear other cultures say that and drink a Fanta, right? I think by and large, black people have been duped, have been persuaded to do things that are just more unhealthy for them. I don't think it's because they're black is what I'm saying. I don't think the blackness of their skin or
the darkness of your
the
skin,
darkness of the skin has nothing to do.
because your genetic, like your genome is not creating cancer. Because like I would love to see them compare that to say somebody from Africa. Like,
Yeah.
are they getting the same colorectal cancer rates?
Yeah, I doubt it.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Like, which is also why like the Mediterranean, like all these different places where they're actually not suffering from
Colon
cancer anywhere near the way that we are. Like,
So again, I just don't think it has anything to do with race. I think it has to do more with like maybe cultural norms than anything else. But that's one of the risk factors that they say, you're black, you're going to get cancer. No, it's not true, man. You just have to change
the habits.
Your habits. A personal history of colorectal cancer and polyps. A history of cancer means you're going to get cancer. Crazy. Inflammatory bowel disease. Again, that's because your bowels are always under attack. And so the immune system is going to be challenged in that area. So that's not good. Mm-hmm. Inherited syndromes that increase colon cancer risk. So this is some DNA changes. Basically, what that is like Lynch syndrome and adenomatous polyposis. I'm not really sure what that is. But I can tell you what it is, and that is intestinal tract challenges. Mm-hmm. So if you're having intestinal tract challenges, you're going to have issues. Family history of colon cancer. Look, this is an issue of you're doing what your family did. It's a generational problem because you're still doing the same things that your family did.
Yep.
Low fiber, high fat diet.
This is, How many people are having a low fiber, high fat diet?
In the United States?
Yeah.
Like all of them?
What does fiber do?
Fiber, your body can't digest, and so it just kind of passes it through, and then it acts like a sweeper and just.
It's just like I'm taking you with me.
That's right.
That's exactly what I think of. Our dad used to sing a song actually all the time.
And fat's very sticky.
Yeah. But our dad used to sing a song whenever we were growing up. He was like, fiber in the morning, fiber because I'm feeling right. Give me fiber, fiber. But really, I mean, fiber is a very healthy thing that helps clean out your system.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And then it says under this one, it says some studies have found an increased risk of colon cancer in people who eat a lot of red meat and processed meat. So I don't think red meat's the boogeyman. It's the dietary things that you're doing along with the red meat that aren't good.
This is another one of those funny ones for me because where they'll always say that correlation does not equal causation unless we want to use it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, people that consume red meat, they also tend to have it. It's correlation.
Not exercising regularly. We talked about that. You have to exercise. It does so many good things for you. Oh, yeah. It helps your colon move, but it does a lot of other good things for your body and creating hormones and just healthy juices for your body. I mean, it's just good for you. People who exercise regularly also tend to drink more water. They tend to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Every time I start an exercise program, I diet better because I'm like, I just earned that. I don't want to just throw it away. Mm-hmm. And when you feel like crap, you eat crap, right?
Yeah.
Diabetes. I don't need to really talk about that one. I don't.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. Diabetes. Obesity, smoking, drinking alcohol. And drinking alcohol, it's because your body has to eliminate it. Alcohol is a neurotoxin. Mm-hmm. It is a neurotoxin. So if you're consuming alcohol, you are challenging your neurological system. And what conducts everything in the body, every system in the body? Your nerves.
The
so
blood.
If it just goes to like see a chiropractor.
Yeah.
Okay. Like you get adjusted. You're like, how can adjustments help colorectal cancer? It's the fact that it helps your nervous system. And if your nervous system's operating better, then your body can operate better. I'm not saying I can adjust away cancer. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if I could make your body operate better, it can handle things better.
Yeah.
So get adjusted. That helps, especially with the nervous system. Okay, and then the last one on here is radiation therapy for cancer. This one's interesting because if you get radiation for cancer, your likelihood for colon cancer goes up. Why? Well, it's limitations of matter. It's a law called limitations of matter. If I grossly change something and permanently alter it, it cannot function to its fullest capacity. That's why surgeries typically are not good. That's living tissue. As soon as I put a bolt in there or I cut something and then I screw it back together, it cannot operate the way that it did before. It just can't. Now, sometimes you need it. I'm not saying that you don't need it. But once you've permanently altered it, it can never operate the way that you can. You've just limited the innate intelligence or what your body's capabilities are. You've limited it. You've permanently altered it and you've permanently limited it.
And even at its basis, what does radiation do?
Destroys.
It destroys. So what you're now doing is you're destroying those cells so those cells can't operate or function, just like what Dr. Dillon was saying, and you now have a limitations of matter. So it's going to replicate or it's going to duplicate in ways that it shouldn't or wouldn't have done previously. And then it can't regulate itself. So what are you going to end up with? Cancer, because cancer is the dysregulation of your body.
I mean, that's pretty much it. There's a few things that, lastly, is what to do about it or how you keep yourself healthy. So number one is diet. Number two is keeping your nervous system in line and keeping it working and operating.
And
exercise. That's really it. I've talked about this last time. I'm going to talk about it again right now, and that is doing enemas. If you're not pooping, if you go 2 days without pooping, go do an enema. Just get a water bag enema. You can look up how they do it. It used to be standard procedure in hospitals. Because A, it hydrates you very quickly, rapidly you get hydration, and B, it keeps your intestinal tract clear and healthy so you can absorb things much, much better. So I'm a huge proponent for them. I'm not a huge fan of them. They're uncomfortable. I don't like doing them. However, if I'm not pooping, that's like the first thing that I do. I'll say this about my dad. I know he wouldn't care. He probably doesn't want me sharing it with the world, but when he I think he still does, but if he goes on vacations or trips, he brings one because you're out of your element. Your body doesn't operate the way it normally functions. And he wants to enjoy when he goes on vacation, and he doesn't like feeling bogged down, tired, and weakened. And so he'll even do an enema when he's on a trip. Again, it's not like pretty, but it's the truth of life and that's what we're here to give you is like good concrete information. And you want to use a good water source. Like, don't go to Mexico and use their water.
That's weird.
Like, man, I'm losing all kinds of weight on this.
What I heard is that there are worms in the water. And I'm going to make just one more quick plug because as you brought that up, it actually totally reminded me of Ozempic, which is kind of the big drug of choice right now for people to lose weight. Is what you're doing is you're naturally slowing down peristalsis and gut motility. So once again, it's a prediction, prophecy, whatever you want to call it. Prophesizing. But more than likely, I think you're going to start to see other colorectal issues that are going to start occurring because people are trying to unnaturally bypass your body's function of operation in that area. So you're naturally just going to get a rise in some sort of an issue down there.
Yep. So you should be pooping at least one time a day, but I really think like twice a day you should be pooping. And the consistency of the poop is going to tell you a lot about it. If you don't know what it means, then ask your doctor and talk to your doctor.
Or look up
I always say go to a
telling
holistic doctor. I think my experience has been that when you go to a medical doctor, it's like, oh, you're not pooping well, here's some Miralax, or they look at other alternatives. DOs are a little bit better. If you see a doctor of osteopath, they're typically trying to look for the cause, not just something to mask the symptom. And then obviously, like I'm a chiropractor, and I can tell you, I take all of my patients' concerns very seriously and want to be able to help them in any way that I can. And that's one of the screening tools, if you will, that I use is asking them those type of questions. Getting an adjustment is really good and making sure that you have healthy levels of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. And the best source of that is not necessarily a pill. I will supplement with patients if need be, but I always try to look at the diet first. Anybody who does any kind of functional medicine in my office, before I start, I make them do, and I lose patients this way because they won't do it. But I need a 2-week journal. If it goes in your mouth, it goes in the journal, and then we review that together.
Yeah.
That's really it. And then exercise, is the last one. Exercise.
Yes.
Make sure you're pooping regularly. Make sure it's good consistency. Make sure you're getting adjustment. Very good for you. Helps stimulate the nervous system. Make sure you're having proper vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, ideally from your diet, and then make sure you're exercising. If you want to avoid colon cancer, that's the best thing you can do. They'll harp on screening, and screening is important. I'm not telling you not to do that. That'd be dumb. However, there's just a lot of better things that you can do to avoid having the issue in the first place.
Yep.
And those are the suggestions I just gave you. So I would do that. Will I get screened? I probably will. Probably not till I'm 50, though.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty good. My pooping is
I
pretty
probably won't do it till I'm 60.
good.
It's just a fact.
Or if I start bleeding out of my anus.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
I did get screened after that.
Yeah. So he bled out of his anus.
Found out that it was an abscess.
Yeah.
And guess what? It was not a polyp.
All right, my ducklings.
Yep. Quack, quack.
Keep it quacky. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Like and subscribe if you have any comments, concerns, or questions, or you want us to address something else. Always like, subscribe, but comment below.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. And anything else, like I said, any other topics you want us to go over. Otherwise, we'll just keep doing the news.
Yeah.
I like doing the news. New news.
New news.
Have a good day, guys.
Have a great one.